So 2 years, what were you doing before 2 years? Like what were you up to?
So I bounced around from companies, and got different experiences with different areas of plumbing. And I just noticed that the customer experience wasn't there, the technician experience wasn't there.
What does it take to build a good culture, and how are you finding and attracting this many people this quickly?
I really believe in performance pay, but you have to really watch it closely. So we'll get a guy that comes in and he's selling way where hey, what's going on? We got to push it back. So you just really have to monitor it. Performance pay is huge. That way the guys can have an incentive, have a foot in the race, and that way they're paid well as well. We want our guys to be able to do cool things in life.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm your host. I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro, and I'm an advocate for all the hardworking pros out there helping make our homes better, safer, and more comfortable. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm super excited by today's guest, Michael Lanphear. He's the CEO of AYS Plumbing and Rooter. He turned his business from a one-man hustle to a multi-million-dollar company in just 2 years. We're going to talk about it. He's got 26 employees, 20 vans on the road. His goal for 2024, eight figures, $10 million. He's based up in Upland, California, kind of San Bernardino County, if you guys know where that is, just north of San Diego. And we're going to be talking about the raw and filtered truth behind building something from nothing to this. And so I'm super excited here. Let's dive in with Michael. Welcome to the show.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on today.
Oh no, it's super great. I'm sure you're gonna have lots of gold nuggets here. Tell us a little bit. What does AYS stand for, and what were you thinking 2 years ago when you're like, all right, we're gonna start this brand new company and then just go build this thing out?
So we kicked AYS off. AYS stands for at your service, and we made some movement in the industry, just trying to make a change, trying to create a different industry. We wanted to be different. We wanted to have the clients to have a different experience. We wanted our technicians to have a different experience, and we just did that little by little. We pushed on and made it happen.
So 2 years. What were you doing before 2 years? Like what were you up to?
So I bounced around from companies, and got different experiences with different areas of plumbing. And I just noticed that the customer experience wasn't there, the technician experience wasn't there. So when I went off on my own, I wanted to change that. There were so many companies out there that were doing things very different than the way we were, and we really wanted to push on the client experience. That was the number one thing that we really wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it's been really common where, some shops are like literally commission only, and some have like a mix of performance pay, and some of those things might make it easy to attract employees, but long term, does that help the customer experience? I don't know. I mean, you've hired 26 people really fast, so I don't know how you've done it, but what does it take to build a good culture, and how are you finding and attracting this many people this quickly?
So performance pay, and I know that's a big thing in our industry. Do you want to pay performance? Do you not? I really believe in performance pay, but you have to really watch it closely.
Hmm.
So we'll get a guy that comes in and he's selling way where hey, what's going on? We got to push it back. So you just really have to monitor it. Performance pay is huge. That way the guys can have an incentive, have a foot in the race, and that way they're paid well as well. We want our guys to be able to do cool things in life, and we want them to be able to buy homes and things like that. So performance pay is definitely the way to go. Paying our guys well, caring about them, benefits. We have a great culture here. It's very family oriented. Um, and the guys love it here. And it really, honestly, I didn't even mean for it to take off. I thought I was going to be an owner operator, one guy in a truck. And, we created this place, and one guy came and wanted to work, and then another guy, and another guy, and another guy. And I like walk into my office sometimes like, this is crazy. I did not foresee this to happen. I'm thankful that it did, and very, very happy of where we are. But this definitely kind of took off on its own.
Yeah. Well, you guys are crushing it in the reviews game, and obviously getting organic and word of mouth and just like being on the top of Google is so key. Like, what are you doing to drive all those reviews? Like, how are you making that a kind of a cornerstone of building your business?
So we just give exceptional service. I mean, we go above and beyond, and we have a large operation. Mistakes happen, and when they do happen, we get in front of them. We stop everything that we're doing. We get in front of that client. We go out to the client's house. Hey, what did we do? Where do we fix this? And we turn it around. So we've actually had some clients. It's funny. They're like, hey, like you have too many good reviews. It doesn't like it's kind of odd, you know. We tell them like, hey man, like we do get bad reviews, but when we do, we just jump in front of them. We make it right. We fix it, and a lot of those times that we have gotten those negative reviews, we've able to turn them around. So
Yeah.
the reviews are huge, especially in this day and age. I mean, everybody that's the go-to. I mean, I do it all day long. You know, we look at reviews, where we're going to go
Yeah.
eat, what hotel we're going to go stay at, stuff like that. So
Totally.
that was
Yeah.
definitely a big push coming in is the review game. That's definitely been a help to our success.
And is there anything you're doing in particular besides like automation? Are you telling the guys to say something or do something, or is this truly just coming from like, you guys are doing great service? Is there any like pre-script or on the call script? Like what tips do you have for other people besides just like do great work? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, well, I do great work, but I don't have 1,800 reviews.
Yeah,
Like, what's this
you
guy doing?
you have to ask. I mean, you can't. You could do exceptional service, and if you don't, hey, you have to ask the client, hey, if you could take a moment, to write X, Y, Z, and then that, we just ask. There's tools that we use as far as we have badges with QR codes that the client make it a little
Mm,
more simpler in the client process. So, and then Housecall Pro as well, they shoot a text for us as well. So that
yeah,
helps. That's actually a large push of our reviews is the text that comes from Housecall Pro. So
yeah.
sometimes guys miss all of our steps, the asking, the badge. At the end of it, the text goes out and the client will have that opportunity to leave the review.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, look, like I feel it's just one of those age-old sayings, which is, you don't get what you don't ask. And so, if you're not quiet about it, you're not going to get there. And I feel like, just like you said, this day and age, you use reviews for everything. Like whatever I'm purchasing on Amazon, Amazon, I'm like, oh, if it's not, 86% 5 star, then I don't know, where's this thing coming from? But people are really looking into those reviews. But I think the other piece, which you kind of graze over, but I think is super critical, which is like if you get a bad review, you do whatever you can to make it right. So you're flipping those bad reviews, asking for them to re-review and change those reviews. So I think not enough people do that because I think other people are like, oh, I got a bad, all right, I'm just going to move forward, rather than trying to address that problem. And I feel like that's something you guys are definitely doing. That's different than what I see is happening out there.
Yeah, I mean that's the going the above and beyond. We make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect, right? And we are going to address those head on every single time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about when you think about your culture, like at your shop. How are you finding these people to come work for your company? Is that just word of mouth and they're like, oh, I see at your service stuff everywhere and I just want to join? Or are you doing some sort of like Indeed recruiting or like events? Like how are you doing this? Because 26 is a lot of people in 2 years.
So we've actually ran zero ads.
Wow.
Right. We've never ran an ad on Indeed for a technician. It's just been word of mouth. Technicians come through here and then they call their buddies and then their buddies know, hey, it's cool over here. It's a good time. They care about their technicians. They care about the client. So
Mhm.
it's all been word of mouth, everything. And social media. We're really pushing hard on social media where everyone's on their phone all day. So these technicians see us doing things and making noise in the industry, and they come in here. Hey, man, I see you guys all over social media. What do you guys got going on?
That's
So it's
great.
all people come in. I mean, even people without experience come in and say, "Hey, I seen you all over social media. What do you guys do? Like, how can I be a part of this operation?" And it's really cool that it's just that it keeps turning that way. And it goes back to I didn't even expect it to blow up like that. I thought it was gonna be a one man show. It's took off on fire on its own.
And how like tell me about like the social media game because I feel like some folks feel like it detracts from being able to get like work done and then you're busy like filming all the stuff that you're doing like how do you think about balancing it and how are you guys building that?
So we have someone in house that's dedicated to it all day. So they pick through all our content and get things pushed out. But it's not going away. Social media's here. I'm on my phone all day. I see the guys on their phones all day. It's just it is what it is. It's in it has to be a number one, right? And I think that's risque in the contract world because you're like, oh, were you getting work done, or is things happening? It has to social media has to be a priority as far as the operational business aspect of everything, marketing stuff like that. So um, it's definitely a different than your norm, right? But it's definitely a necessary, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys believe in it so much, you've got a separate person that just works on that, and that's what you do. And I think a lot of people maybe also don't realize that social media isn't just to potentially get new customers, but it's also just to get employees. So a lot of people look at it as like, oh, if I do a good job, maybe homeowners in my area will like stumble on it and like find it and engage with it. But it's more than just that. It's also the employee side, which I feel like is another kind of like a hidden tip there. When you're thinking about growing your business some more from a marketing standpoint, are you spending money? What's working for you, or is it purely just word of mouth and this, or like this dominance in the organic search with those reviews?
No, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way we would have did that organically. I mean,
Yeah.
our market is very saturated, so I mean, we're advertising in every platform possible to get clients, to get in front of these clients. It's a very saturated market. There's hundreds of plumbers, and then you got hundreds of handymen out there, and then you got hundreds of unlicensed plumbers out there. So we do everything we can to get in front of that client, and then once we get in front of them, then we're able to give that exceptional service to stand out from the rest of the world that's trying to get in front of that client.
And from like channels perspective, like what's working, or is it LSA? Is it Yelp? Is it like what does that kind of breakdown look like for someone that's looking to spend some money? Like what would you recommend?
It's honestly it's every day it's different, right? So there's so many channels and there's so many platforms. There's Yelp, there's Google, there's LSA, there's PPC, and I just feel like every day it's a lever that we pull. Like, hey, today we're going to have to pull down the PPC lever, and that's what's really driving everything today.
Hmm.
And just day by day, we pulse it and we see what lever we need to pull. Um, LSA, I would say, is number one,
Hmm.
but there's times that we push that lever back and we'll pull into Yelp, and then that's really what's driving everything. It's just an everyday work in progress.
So is it safe to say there's someone in the office that's watching that all day, and that's like their job is making sure that those things are running, and if the job board's empty, to like pull those levers?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And that's a lot of what I monitor as well. I want to keep us busy. I want to keep the guys fed and working. So um, those levers are huge.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think what's hard is, at a certain point for a lot of pros that are probably listening, they're like, well, I don't have someone that can monitor this stuff full time. And then, so I need that person. But I think, at a certain point, you need to figure out what are you really good at. And as an owner of a business, at some point, it sounds like you knew it was time for you to step away from doing those things and go focus on other things. How did you know when it was time to like delegate and go hire for those specific roles? Was it just natural that you felt it, or like did you think about it? Do you have a framework? Like what kind of tips do you have there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was natural. I mean, things were getting overwhelming for me where I'm just like, I have a massive workload here. So it's like, hey, we got to start passing things off.
Hmm.
It came to a point where it felt right, right? Like, hey, this is too much for me. The business is going to suffer if I just try to take all
Yeah.
this on. The better of everyone to just pass this off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's hard too for business owners, you're probably like, oh man, I'm a master at social media, or maybe not, or you're a master at this, but then you got to pass it off and you can't find someone to do quite the same as you could. Like, how do you like overcome that feeling, or maybe that like, no, I want to kind of like, you even did this with your hands. Like, you kind of like own it a little bit, but then you gotta like, you gotta let your baby go. Like, how do you deal with that?
You have to have faith in your team. You have to have the utmost faith in your team, and in which I'm fortunate enough to have that. There's other owners that I spoke to that don't have that, and they do have that fear, like, oh, I don't know if I want to let this go. But
Mhm.
I have an amazing team. I have a great marketing team. I have a great social media team, a great administrative staff. So I have faith in them, and they prove me right all the time. They never steer me wrong. So I was very fortunate in that aspect of getting the correct team. And I think it goes back to having the badass culture, right? The
Yeah.
culture is cool, and, so we attract top talent.
Yep. Yep. And I think also giving people the autonomy and that trust. I think when you give someone your trust and that autonomy, they're like, oh man, I'm not gonna let Michael down. Like I got the full reins of this thing and it's only me and I gotta like make this thing work. Versus someone that's more micromanaging that's like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? It attracts, like you said, it attracts like a different, I guess, set of talent that'd be willing to work in conditions like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot. I mean, there's times that I'll have a off the wall idea and I'm running with it at 100 miles an hour, and my team will get in front of me like, "Hey, we're
No.
not, we're not," and they have to pump the brakes on me. But I'm glad that they do that, because there's times that I would make a wrong decision, and I have faith in them more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's another great golden nugget, which is like, as an owner, you're not always right. And sometimes you have to just listen to your people. And probably the people that are closer to the problem anyways know better. They're the ones that should be the ones making the decision, telling you no. But if they fear telling you, like, Michael, that's a stupid idea, or we're not doing that. If they fear that, then you're going to run into this like bad situation where they're just going to let you get away with it and things are not going to go right. So you have to be able to take that feedback. And you sound like a guy that can take that feedback. Yeah, for sure. Um, Tell me a little bit about, did you start when you started your business? Did you start with Housecall Pro right out of the gate, or did you already start it and then you got Housecall Pro?
I did start fairly quickly. I want to say our first few months we were on some like app with an invoicing app,
Yeah,
and I knew very quickly that we're in a digital world, and I've been through enough companies to know that it was necessary. There was no way we were going to do it without House Call Pro.
yeah. And what like took you to Housecall Pro? Like, how did you find it? Like, where are you like, we need something like this, but like, how did you find it? What were you looking for?
I really don't remember.
Yeah,
I, to be honest with you, I want to say I stumbled upon it online.
yeah,
And I was like, this is cool. I'm gonna be, and I remember I told you I was gonna be a one man shop. It was like $49. I was
yeah,
like, this is all I need. Like, we're gonna be rolling. And so I downloaded it, and it helped me day one. I was able
yeah.
to schedule my clients, and I remember that app that I had. It was just a strictly invoicing app. It wasn't like scheduling or anything like that. So I was like dropping the ball with showing up to clients' houses,
Mm,
and there was a lot of things that were catching on fire because I didn't have House Call Pro. So when we made that move, it was huge. It was huge. It definitely helped the business take off in the right direction.
yeah. And then, I mean, you grew really fast. So you grew with Housecall Pro into Housecall Pro and it scaled with your business. What was that like finding other people to use it and training them on there? Like, how are you able to grow so quickly and stay just on Housecall Pro to run it all?
So House Call Pro is really user friendly.
Hmm.
I've had people that have came off of different platforms, and they just jump right in, and it's our training process to get them is very minimal. It's almost non-existent. We're just like, hey, here, play with this app for a little bit, and they got it. It's very easy. And I mean, all my administrative staff, they came on. I don't know if it's a bad word to say service titan on your guys' House Call Pro, but
Nah, it's fine.
they've said it. They've all came off that, and they love it. They love House Call Pro. So when it's actually funny, because when I first started, I had some pretty good mentors that were like, "Hey, you need service type," and
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, "No, there's no way. Like, I want to do House Call Pro," and it's actually I've proved them wrong. So like, I go to them every day, like, "Hey, man, check out this stuff that we're doing here," and they trip
Totally.
out. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's a common misconception, when people think about software in general, you don't have to, and I talk about this pretty openly, like Salesforce is like probably the end all be all enterprise program that like big tech companies start to use. And we have like an entire team, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 people that manage it all day, every day. And it's a beast and it's super expensive. Um, and we've had to use it just given our sheer size. But the reality is there's other great software out there like the HubSpots of the world and the Pipe Drives and the Close, that are affordable, easy, and work still for great size teams. And so you don't have to get something that is marketed that way in order to run your business. Because the reality too is, like you said, if it's easy for your people to use and they like it, man, like that keeps your people happy. And when your people are happy, they deliver good customer service. When they're sitting around like trying to figure out how to like do a thing and click like 7 buttons to do one thing, that's time they wasted. They could have been doing something else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, before I had AYS, every time, the entire time I was an employee, I was on Service Titan. So
Hmm.
I was new to Housecall Pro as an owner, as a technician, as everything. So I had like this one hub spot of me learning it. But like I said, it was very user friendly. I really enjoy it. It's very cost efficient, so
Yeah.
we have to be marketing heavy because of how saturated the market is, like I was saying. So it's good to have a cost efficient software that packs all the value and everything that we need and all the tools that we need to succeed.
Yeah, I know. Like pre-show, we're talking a little bit about what specifically, but the customer communication seems to be like a big one, especially just for your business overall. What parts of like I feel like it's so hard to describe. Like as a co-founder of House Call Pro, like how do I tell people like we've got great customer communication in the app? Like how can I sell that? Because it seems like so obvious, but it is one of those killer features where you're like, oh shit, that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's self-explanatory. I mean, it really it's on top of that client. I mean, the coolest feature that I think is the I always call it the Uber feature,
Yeah.
where it connects to the tracker, watching the guy. So I think that's really cool, because it's when a client has a problem, at least for us, I know that there's other industries out there that use House Call Pro, but for plumbing, when they have a problem, it's a little bit hectic, right? So they're
Yeah.
like, toilet's overflowing, there's a leak, something's going on, right? So I think House Call Pro helps ease that, right? Hey, this is a photo of who's coming, so that way they feel a little more comfortable. Here's an actual map of them making their way to you. So if
Yep.
they need to put a dog up or, do whatever they need to do to get ready for us, they have that. Hey, he's right around the corner, get ready, he's coming. So it
Yeah.
definitely helps ease the chaos of the situation that the client's having.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point because I think for like emergency style home services where plumbing is usually something that's not expected unless you're doing like maybe a water. Oh no, I guess water heater could also be emergency. But like most things, I feel like I would want to know exactly where that person is. And I just booked a House Call Pro user to switch out my HVAC, and they were using the GPS trackers plus the on my way text, and I could literally see their truck coming. I was like, okay, I got like, oh, they're at Roanoke Park. They're like 30 minutes away. Like I still got time to go like finish walking the dog before I have to be home. But it's like little things like that I feel like are still unexpected in the home services. People aren't expecting that from a plumbing company, and you're able to offer it, which is pretty sweet. But it's hard to market that. Um, my wife is like that pictures. She's like, it's nice to know that the picture of the person that sent is the picture that shows up, and I can match them, and I feel safe. And it's like, especially when you're having someone come into your home and like plumbing, you're getting all up in their business, and like there's some crazy stuff going down, and it could happen any time of day. I think just even seeing that picture, it seems so small, but I think that really changes people's minds on who they're doing business with. It's hard to market though. Like House Call Pro makes your customers feel safe. They're like, well, how? But it's like, oh, it's a little picture. Um,
We
yeah.
actually just had a situation. So we just got a new van that hadn't been wrapped yet.
Mm.
So we had it in the field, and we showed up to a client's house, and the client was like, "Who's this white van?" But being able to match the photo, they were able to, and they told the technician like, "Hey, I thought it was kind of weird, a white van showing up to my house. I didn't know who you were, but they were able to look at the picture, look at the tech, like, okay, you're good. Come on
Totally.
in.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
Yeah.
come in and do weird stuff in my house."
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, if a white van showed up here, I'd be like, who the heck is that? Like, I don't know. I don't know about this. No, you've grown to 10 million. What are you looking at when it comes to like reporting inside a House Call Pro? What KPIs, or do you have like a dashboard built up? Like, what are you looking at to kind of pull some of those levers as the CEO and the owner?
So this is really hard to answer because we're still new. I'm learning stuff every day,
Mm,
and that's honestly a huge struggle for me actively, right? And I'm trying to figure out the KPIs that are really targeting what's helping us and the tracking and stuff like that. So honestly, the dashboards that we're looking for right now is we're looking for technician conversion rates. We're looking for call tracking to see where of our marketing platforms are coming from. So, and this is, with Housecall Pro being user friendly, I find new stuff every day. Like I'll be
mhm.
like, oh my goodness, I just found this golden nugget that this Housecall Pro does, and I didn't even know it does. So that's actually something that we're working on right now is the metrics and the tracking and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
so I don't have a 100% solid answer for you because it's
No.
still progress, but I will in like a year or so. Maybe we'll meet
Yeah.
again. Not tracking.
We'll do another Superpro podcast. No, and I feel like a lot of business owners are feeling the crunch. They're like, oh my God, I got to know every single last detail of every time spent by every technician, and that's how I'm going to get from 500K to a million or something, or like, a million to two. And it's really important to track things for sure. But sometimes even overanalyzing, especially in the early times, you're going to be looking at the wrong stuff because, I mean, you kind of heard Michael too, you know, you're able to build a business that's successful, even not tracking every single minute thing because you don't even know what to track yet. And so I feel like that's something that you're always going to be dialing in and it's always something that is going to be a process. But my recommendation to all the pros out there is like, make sure you're tagging things. Make sure you've got service types. You're using business units, job types. You're using customer tags. You're using job tags. Because down the road, you're probably going to want to look back at that data and be like, are my emergency cleanouts doing better than my standard toilet replacement, my service work, or like, my replacement versus my service, or, the conversion rate by technician. I mean, that one's a classic one, which is like, I get a call that comes in, who am I sending on the job? This is going to be like a tankless water heater. I don't know if I'm going to send Roland on the job, or I'll rather send Michael on the job. It's stuff like that that will start to make a difference down the road for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that a lot of people, and even myself, I've kind of had uh, a meltdown about tracking and like we don't have it correct. But I mean, you hit it on the head. We shot for the stars. We built it to here, and now we can work backwards and say, hey, what worked? What got us here, and let's
Mhm.
just keep doing that. So it's really hard to dial in the tracking without getting to here, not knowing what you're really tracking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
working backwards is huge.
Yeah, and I think too, when you're first building a business, I mean, you should focus on your gross revenue and grow that. Even if, yeah, and I'm not saying don't build a non-cash flowing, not profitable business, but like, when you're in those early stages in 2 years to get to 10 million, you're focusing on gross and making sure the machine's working, you're spending good dollars, people are out there. Maybe you're even overspending on employees, right? And you're paying them probably more than what you should, but that's okay because you're growing really fast. And then once you're able to kind of take a look back, that's when you can start dialing in like net profit. Okay, like what are we doing that's just like, okay, we're just dispatching incorrectly. Like we should be sending guys home with their trucks. We shouldn't be sending them out of the warehouse every single time. Maybe there's some exception we can make because then we'd save them at least an hour worth of driving time, especially like in LA or San Diego, where traffic really matters. But I feel like yeah, you can focus more on that net profit piece as you start dialing things in. But don't forget, like at the end of the day, you got to build that business. You got to scale it. So take a look at that gross, then focus on the net. Don't try to focus on the net when you've got two people because there's not enough like inefficiencies to really matter.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
it's just taking action. Showing up, going to work. At the end of the day, show up, go to work. That's it. And then you could pull those other levers later.
totally.
The working backwards is huge.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, What do you think about the Houseflower community? Like, why are you in there? Why do you interact on there? What do you learn there? What do you do there?
So I really enjoy the House Call Pro community. I mean, anytime anything comes up, any issue I may have, I mean, I feel I jump in there and within minutes I have an answer
Mhm.
or some guidance or advice where to go from another pro. So just the other day, I needed some help with some IT support, and I'm like, where do I find an IT support? I mean, I looked on Google, I couldn't find it. right? So I posted on there, and like, within a few minutes, I had 5 people like, "Hey, contact this person. Hey, I can help you. Give me a message." So the community that we have here is really really strong, and I'm really really thankful to be a part of the House Call Pro community. And then when I say that, I mean the Facebook communities. I don't know if that's what you meant by that, but I really like those
Yeah,
Facebook. Yeah,
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think the community is like all of our pros, but then the Facebook group is kind of like the social water cooler, where like everyone hangs out. And then I think that's where, there's tons of questions. There's tons of pro votes and people wanting certain features. But there's also a lot of support. And sometimes, our support teams, they're not out there in the field using the software every single day in, day out. There's probably a pro that's already sat in your seat or currently sitting in your seat or knows the answer to that thing that can help you much quicker with something that's probably more relevant because they're actually like a plumber. They just happen to be in a different county or they happen to be in a different state. And so sometimes getting support from your own pro network, right, which is the Housecall Pro community, that'll probably yield better results. But still have the blue chat bubble. We still have Help AI, which gets you answers really quick too. But yeah, don't sleep on that community piece. I feel like we're already. Go ahead.
I go to the community before I even go to the Blue Bubble. I mean, not that I haven't been out before, but and I mean, David Meltzer, he says, the easiest way to get somewhere you want to go is to go to someone that has the map that's there where you want to be. So, like we
Mhm.
said, you hit it on the head. There's someone that's already experienced that problem, that's been there, that says, "Hey, this is how you get here, and this is what we're gonna do."
Yeah, and look, I mean, even Michael said, I was like, there's still stuff you're learning about the platform every single day. You're like, ooh, what's this little thing I found, or what's this new thing? And sometimes it's because it existed there and it always was there, but you just never clicked the button. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes we release new features all the time, like every single week. We're releasing like new stuff and new additions or new ways to sort stuff, or view a certain report or whatever it happens to be. So and being in the community, sometimes it can help you find it because someone will be like, oh yeah, just click that button. You're like, oh my God, I've been doing this for like this many times. And like, I finally noticed the 3 little dots right over there. Like, how did I not figure out how to like duplicate a job or, something like that. But, sometimes asking those questions, you might feel a little silly asking them there, but you're going to get the best replies and you're going to get super fast and it's super active. And, I'm in there from time to time too, answering questions, which is
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, no, I see you
Yeah, we're in there. We've definitely gone over the 30 minutes super quick, but I want to give you kind of like what's one tip, something maybe that you would give a pro that's either just starting out, looking to start their business, or maybe struggling to get from like 1 to 2 million, or from like 2 to 5 million. What's something you would put out into the world that you think is helpful, that's helped you?
Just taking action. Just taking action. Getting up. I said it earlier. Just get up and show up every day. That's it. Just don't get hung up on the metrics or the marketing or the hiring or anything like that. Just show up and work what's in front of you. And if you
Love it.
just bite, you'll make it. You'll continue to grow.
I love it. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming on, sharing a whole bunch of these golden nuggets. It's been fun watching your success, and we didn't talk about you, potentially expanding in San Diego, but maybe we'll save that for another episode in the
Definitely.
future. Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
San Diego open next time we chat.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, pros. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll have another guest on a week from today. Excited to let you know who that is. Michael, thanks again for coming on the show. Super appreciate it and wish you nothing but success. See y'all later.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.